This coming Wednesday, November 9th, will mark the 84th anniversary of Kristallnacht, the Night of the Broken Glass. On that terrible night, November 9th, 1938, hundreds of synagogues and thousands of Jewish-owned businesses across Germany were destroyed. 30,000 Jews were arrested and sent to concentration camps, and in many ways, Kristallnacht really marks the official beginning of the Shoah. And in August of 1939, less than a year after Kristallnacht, Harvard University held an essay competition with the title, "My Life in Germany Before and After January 30th, 1933, which of course was the day on which Hitler was appointed as chancellor. And that competition was part of a larger project that had been undertaken by the Harvard sociologist Edward Hartshorne, who was collecting as many personal accounts from refugees who had fled Nazi Germany as he possibly could. Harvard received over 250 submissions for the competition, and Hartshorne selected 34 of those submissions that dealt specifically with Kristallnacht for a special compilation. And he compiled the Kristallnacht essays in a book that he called Nazi Madness, November 1938. And for a number of reasons, that book was never published, and it remained unpublished for many decades until it was rescued from obscurity in 2012, when it was finally published under the title The Night of the Broken Glass, Eyewitness Accounts of Kristallnacht. And I heard about the book for the very first time just last year when a new paperback edition was released. And I have to mention that there's a very sad postscript to this story. After the war, Professor Hartshorne was sent to Germany by the United States government to help denazify German universities that were still teaching and propounding the philosophy of National Socialism. And tragically, Professor Hartshorne was assassinated in 1946 while he was driving on the Autobahn on his way to Nuremberg. But in the 15 months he spent in Germany before he was killed, he was able to successfully denazify the universities of Heidelberg, Marburg, and Frankfurt, which is truly a remarkable achievement. And what I discovered this week as I was reading through some of those personal accounts of Kristallnacht that Professor Hartshorne collected is that so many people immediately understood that that night marked the beginning of the end for the Jewish people in Europe. One account in the book was written by a woman named Hertha Nathorf, who kept a diary and recorded everything that she witnessed in November and December of 1938. And as she wrote in her final diary entry on the last day of 1938, "This year is coming to an end. It has taken away from me everything that made my life happy and fortunate. The last few months have completely changed me. I no longer recognize myself, and it's no wonder that others no longer recognize me either. I'm just counting the days until we can get out of this hell. Many people come and go in our home every day, Jews and well-meaning Aryans alike, and all of them have only one wish: to get out of this country, and they do not hesitate to say so." And thank God, Hertha Nathorf was able to get out of the country. She left Germany and came to the United States in 1939, and she lived here and made a life for herself here until her death in 1993. Like so many others, she was able to see the writing on the wall. After Kristallnacht, she realized that there was no future for the Jews of Europe. In this week's Torah portion, Parshat Lech Lecha, God chooses Abraham to be the founder of the Jewish people. And as God very famously says to Abraham in this week's Torah portion, "You will be the father of a great nation. Habetna hashamayma usfor hakochavim." Go outside and look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. And as you see the stars, so too shall be your offspring. Your offspring will be as numerous as the stars in the sky. But in a midrash on this verse, the rabbis teach that when Abraham looked up at the stars, he read the astrological signs there and he despaired. According to the rabbis, Abraham said to God, "God, I'm looking up, I'm looking at the stars and I'm reading the signs, and I don't see any indication that I'm going to have even a single child, let alone be the father of a great nation. According to the stars, I see no future for the Jewish people. I am going to be both the first and the last Jew. But God responds to Abraham in this midrash by saying, Ein mazal be'Israel. Astrology does not apply to Israel. The stars will have no influence on your people's destiny because your people will be different than any other people on earth. Conventional wisdom and predictions about the destiny of your people simply won't apply. Just like the Jews of Europe in 1938, Abraham predicted that there would be no future for the Jewish people. And thankfully for us, both Abraham and the Jews who lived through Kristallnacht were wrong. Because there's no conventional way to predict what is going to happen to the Jewish people. By any rational standard, we should be long gone by now. All of the other people mentioned in the Bible are gone. The Hittites, the Jebusites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, they're all gone. And they've been gone for thousands of years. Every single one of them is gone. But we are still here. The American novelist Walker Percy once wrote, "Why does no one find it remarkable that in most cities in the world today there are Jews, but there's not one single Hittite, even though the Hittites had a great and flourishing civilization, while the Jews were a weak and obscure people? When one meets a Jew in New York or New Orleans or Paris, it is remarkable that no one considers that event to be remarkable. What are they doing here? If there are Jews here, why are there no Hittites here? Show me one Hittite in New York City." And that miraculous fact, the fact that we have been here for 4,000 years, since the time of Abraham, that we have outlived the Babylonians and the Romans and the Nazis, that fact has given me a great deal of comfort over the past few extremely difficult weeks. On Thursday night, as I was on the phone with our executive director, Neil Weidberg, and our president, Craig Grosswald, and our education director, Leah Becker, trying to figure out how we were possibly going to navigate this terrible threat to all synagogues in New Jersey, the one thought that helped me maintain any sense of calm was, we've been through far worse, and we've survived. We'll survive this too. Abraham thought we would be gone 4,000 years ago. The Jews of Europe thought we would be gone in 1938. And now the anti-Semites of 2022 want us to believe that we will soon be gone from this country as well. And if you read the terrifying reports coming out of the ADL about the rising rates of anti-Semitism, it would be very easy to believe that soon we will be gone from this country. But as God said to Abraham in that famous midrash, Ein mazal be'Israel, signs and portents and conventional wisdom does not apply